Good morning. Welcome to another fabulous episode of How Many Times Are Open on Mr. Johnson's Computer? Two, four, six, seven. Seven on a Friday. Welcome to a Friday edition. All right, so today you have a discussion and you have your math quiz for math. The discussion definitely influences your math quiz as far as like the same skills and stuff. Uh, Glad you're here to watch this. All right, so now remember, use all four stems, including a wondering. Make your wondering like a full-on wondering, not just like a I wonder nothing or I wonder why is the weekend tomorrow or something. All right, so ask a question about this graph right here, or maybe the statement over here, the labels, those types of things. All right, so what we're gonna do is basically this is one of those uh, spot the error type things, right? So where's the error? Study the set of data, study the statement on the right. Can you find the error? Um, yes, we can. But what I want to do is I want to go ahead and we talked yesterday about uh, like bivariate data. That was the big term for it, but it's just paired data that can go on a table, just like we made before. So what we're going to do is we're just going to make a table, an input output table. All right. And we're going to put these plot points on there just as practice. All right. We're going to go ahead and call our input, in this case, H, all right? It's still really just our X, if you think about it, all right? And why I called it H is because that's the hours. And remember, your X axis is going to be basically the part that is causing the change over here, all right? So your X-axis data should be the part that causes the change, all right? For instance, on your exercise the other day, with snow cones and how hot it was outside affected the number of snow cones sold, right? In this case, the amount of time or the amount of hours that it rains affects how much it rains, right? To think of it backwards, uh, would it make sense to say like we can tell how many inches it rains, or like depending on how many inches it rains, it will rain for more or less hours? So that doesn't really make sense. Just like the exercise the other day, the amount of snow cones sold doesn't change the temperature. The temperature outside changes the amount of snow cones sold. All right, so we're going to call, let's see, our output. Let's go ahead and call that, let's see, R for rainfall. All right, so it's still X and Y. As you can see, your X is still this, but a lot of the exercises you see will give them different letters. So I just want to get you used to that. Even though this is your X-axis, they might call your input H for hours, or your output R for rainfall. You could put I for inches. Either way. So let's go ahead and find out where these points are. All right, so let's go ahead and locate all these points. We have our first one, we run 1, we jump 4. So that's an input of 1, an output of 4. Our next point, we ran 1, we jumped 5. So we have an input of 1, an output of 5. The next one, we ran 2, we jumped 6. The next one, we ran 2, we jumped 8. The next one, we ran 2, and we jumped 10. The next one, we ran 3, and we jumped 8. The next one, we ran 3 hours, and then it rained for 11 inches. The next piece of data, if it rained for 4 hours, oops, it rained 14 inches. So let's go ahead and count our plot points 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then let's count our data. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All right, so all of it is represented now. Okay, so when it rained for 1 hour, it rained 4 inches. When it rained for 1 hour, the next time it rained 5 inches. When it rained for 2 hours, they got 6 inches once. When it rained for 2 hours, they got 8 inches. So every time it seems like it rains like a certain amount of time, we don't get the exact same amount of inches, right? Because sometimes it rains harder and sometimes it doesn't rain so hard. Sometimes it sprinkles, sometimes you have a thunderstorm. All right, so now now that we've got all of our data on a table as well, let's see what our statement says. The total rainfall recorded was 8 inches. Whoa, we just got we've got like a bunch of numbers that are above 8 already. So the total would be if we added all of these numbers together. All right. So the total rainfall is every single time it rained, which is way greater than 8. So let's go ahead and just let's add together. Let's see. Um, all of our numbers. And let's see if we can actually get the real total. All right. And what I'm just doing is like sometimes instead of lining all these up and adding them individually, you just add up pairs. It could get easier. At least now I'm only adding 4 numbers instead of 2, 4, 6, 8 numbers, right? All right, so let's see, 5 plus 8 is 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. We have 17, and then add 9 to 17 should be 26. All right, and then 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It looks like in total, if we added all this stuff up, we would get 66 inches, right? So, um, let's go ahead and double check our work. 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 26. Carry the 2, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So, yes. So, when we look at this statement, the total rainfall was not 8 inches. The total rainfall for, let's see, a 2 hour time period once was 8 inches. The total rainfall for a 3 hour time period once was 8 inches. But the total recorded rainfall was 66 inches. So we have a lot of things we can say about this. First thing I noticed. First thing that I noticed is when we looked at our graph, we didn't have a lot of the same data. We didn't have those clusters that we talked about in class yesterday. Um, 1 hour went by and it only rained 4 inches, and then the next time 1 hour went by, it rained 5 inches, right? So one of the things I'm noticing is there's no rule on this graph. The information is scattered about because you can have the same input with a different output. Remember before when we were working on graphing, you can't have like a different output for the same input because they follow rules. With scatter plots, you can have a different output with the same input. So like this, 1 was our input, 4 was our output, 1 was our input, 5 was our output. This can happen in scatter plots, but not in regular graphing. So that's one thing I noticed. Another thing I noticed is it seems like as more hours go by, it rains more. Another thing I noticed is when it rained for 4 hours, there was 14 inches of rain. That's pretty crazy. Another thing I noticed is that it rained most on average 2 hours because we have 3 pieces of data above 2, right? It rained the least amount of times for 4 hours because we only have 1 piece of data above 4. All right, so they are the same. What are the same? They're the same because the statement's talking about rainfall recorded. The graph is talking about rainfall recorded. All right. There is a 8 inch piece of data on here, but that was how much it rained for 2 hours, not the total rainfall for everything. We also had 8 inches of rain when it rained for 3 hours. So they're the same because it references 8 inches, and we have 2 pieces of data that show 8 inches of rain, but not the total rainfall, right? Also, they are the same because we are talking about rainfall recorded, and this is tracking the amount of rainfall, right? They're the same because they're talking about inches, and our measurement over here is inches, all right? So there's a bunch of different things that we can say are the same. They are different because this graph shows 8 different pieces of data. This statement really only shows half a piece of data, right? We don't even know if they're talking about the time that it ran or rained for 2 hours and there was 8 inches, the time that it rained for 3 hours and there was 8 inches, or if they're thinking that all of this together means that it rained 8 inches all of those times it rained. So they are different because this is also not a full not a full piece of bivariate data. This doesn't say something about the hours. This graph calculates the inches that it rained over time. This statement only talks about the inches, so they did not include hours in our statement. All right. And then finally, wonderings. Wonderings from me, I would say is like, what month did this happen? Is this over a year? Other things I might think are, so does it most, like if we had more data, would it most often be at 2 hours because we have three pieces of data at 2 hours? So is the average rain storm in this area 2 hours? What was it like on the time that it rained 4 hours? 14 inches of rain is a lot of rain. All right. I could wonder about how they got this answer. So I wonder if they were asking specifically about the 2 hour 8 inches, the 3 hour 8 inches, or if they were just completely confused and didn't know how to read this graph. Because it's really hard to believe that they think the total rainfall is 8 inches when right here we already have a piece of data that goes to 14 inches. All right. So there's a lot of things that we could wonder about this, but just go ahead and choose your own. Choose something that you are interested in, has to do with hours and inches of rain, or the statement, or the graph. All right. So after this, you have your quiz. So do your best on that. We wish you best of luck on all your assignments today. I hope that you have a wonderful Friday. Please make sure your calendar is like cleaned out for the week. If you're done with all of your assignments for Friday, go back, check that calendar, make sure everything's crossed out. Talk to your teachers. We're here for you. Like and subscribe if you feel like it. And I think that's it. All right. Have a great day. Have a great weekend. And I'll see you later. Bye.